I've always wanted to game the system, and find who the middleman is and cut them out.
Welcome to the Business Growth Masterclass, where business growth is made simple. I'm your host, Albert Gillespie.
And I'm your co-host, Kellen Ketchersid. Join us as we bring you stories from business leaders so you can learn from their wins, their losses, and everything in between.
Today's guest is the founder of J. Rich Apparel Company. Welcome to the podcast, Jason Richardson.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here. We've been looking forward to it. I've got a few of your shirts that I love to wear, and I love the Come and Take It. Like, what are those? The cannons from the Come and Take It. Yeah, flag. I love that.
So this is actually my best seller as far as my retail line goes. I don't do a lot of retail, but from a retail perspective, Come and Take It's been my most popular.
Okay, just introduce me real quick. What is J. Rich Apparel? What do you guys make? Which y'all's niche in the apparel market?
Okay, so I started out, I was just going to make custom apparel. Like when you think of custom apparel, most corporate polos are a Nike polo with your name embroidered on it. That's not custom. So what I envisioned was I take your logo and I turn it into a pattern. And so my style is I want it to be very subtle. I don't want it to jump out at you like an obnoxious, polo pattern. I want it to look very professional, but then when you get up on it, have you seen the rowback Don't Mess with Texas shirts?
Yes.
Okay, similar to that. You don't know that that's the shape of Texas till you get real close to it. Mm-hmm. And so I was really inspired by rowback, but then I thought I could do some really cool things. So I started it. The very first shirt I ever made was for my day job. I'm a database developer by trade.
Okay.
And I work for OrthoFix Inc. in Louisville, a medical device manufacturer. And we have this little logo that's an O. And so I created a pattern out of that O that 2 years after I made that shirt, some people still didn't realize that it was our logo that made it. So it's like an Easter egg.
Yeah.
When my boss asked me to design and make the shirts, and I wasn't J. Rich Apparel back then, I made them. And when they came in, I was like, this is my business opportunity. I've got to sell these because the quality, my supplier makes FootJoy. Mm-hmm. I believe they make some stuff. They won't tell me, but they've shown me pictures of some rowback stuff they've made. And so it's super high quality stuff. And then with my design, I said, I'm going to make these the original idea was to make them for high school booster clubs. Mm-hmm. That I told the guy when I came in here, my original plan was to sell 1,000 in my first year. Like if I could do that, this would be a fun little side hustle, pocket money.
Yeah.
I sold 3,500 in the first month.
Oh my goodness.
It like blew up on me.
That's
and
awesome.
So I got in with the right people at the right time. Got connected to companies like Zoetis. They're an animal pharmaceutical company.
Okay.
And then Chili's. You know what Chili's is.
Yeah.
And I've done stuff for Southwest Airlines.
Okay, hang on. Again, okay.
Yeah. So how did you get those contracts, especially as a new apparel company that's just
it's not what you know, it's who you know. So I have one of my best friends works for a company that they have all those accounts on theirs. And so I did the Zoetis one first. And then when Chili's saw it, Chili's jumped in. Then when Southwest Airlines saw the chili shirts, they wanted a part of it. And then Nothing Bundt Cakes. I've done stuff for Paycom.
What in the world?
Yeah, it blew up on me.
Okay, this is a new territory for us. So just restating what J. Rich Apparel does is you make custom shirts for businesses is kind of your niche, and obviously you sell some different things, some tech apparel, some things like that. But kind of how you guys got your start was making some custom branded apparel for businesses,
and that's 99% of what I still do today. Okay. So I prefer to do the wholesale. I don't like doing retail.
Okay. Why is that?
It's just a lot more work for a lot less profit. With my business model, I don't have to carry inventory. And so I'm not a salesperson. So this has been, I'm an IT nerd, right? And so what I do is I get the logo from you. I will go and I will create a pattern out of it. And I do think I'm pretty decent at that.
I would agree. I would agree. It's good stuff.
So I'll create the pattern. I'll create mock-ups. I'll send those to you. I'll do all the color combinations, all the different variations that I do. And then I'll just send you a free sample.
Oh, man. Okay. Have you read the book Built to Sell?
No.
Okay. I'm going to buy it.
I don't read books.
You need to listen to it on audio. It's good stories. I've read this book, I think 4 times, and I just finished it the other day. We were talking about it at Kellen, and it's a story about being a business owner and growing your business to a place that you can sell it. And it's told through a parable, a fictional story. And the fictional story is this marketing firm that is kind of a jack of all trades marketing firm for several different businesses. And they have kind of this unique gift where they're really good at designing logos. And they wind up kind of productizing that. And you almost described the first 3 steps verbatim of like design, intaking, kind of understanding the client, understanding the brand, manipulating the logo. And they develop this like process to design logos at scale. And anyway, it's a great book. But I was thinking about that as you were describing, taking people's logos and building this apparel. And I'm like, how many times have you read that book? You've never read it.
We're not even 5 minutes in. Albert's already trying to get you to sell your business.
Sorry.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, I'm not joking. I do not read books.
That's all right.
It's just not my style. I never have.
It's funny.
I'm a learner by doing.
All right. Well, illiterate IT guy. Got it.
Well, we used to ask our guests, so what's your favorite book or something? We had so many guests with that answer that we decided just like, we'll drop that. That doesn't have to be a standard question. But
I have read one book, The Ragamuffin Gospel. But it has nothing to do with what you guys are doing. But that book saved my life. But
all right. We'll check that out. Yeah.
Book for another time.
So as you have gotten into this little niche that you're in, which I would agree, I love the design. I have several of the shirts. I have a polo that is my favorite. All of this is Texas Tech stuff because I'm a big Texas Tech guy. But as you have kind of built these relationships with the businesses that you work with, and you've started growing you like doing more of the wholesale, not retail, is what you're saying. How did you scale this to grow so fast? Because I know if you were hoping for 1,000 orders in a year and you got 3,500 in a month, was that a big deal in terms of the logistics and the hustle?
Well, for me, the step one was I didn't know. I was nervous as crap because that 3,000 polo order is $100,000 order.
Wow.
And I have to pay for that up front.
Yeah.
Right. And so my business model is I require 50% down because it's custom apparel.
Okay.
And so that will at least cover me in case they change their mind or screw me over or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not a real stickler. My wife's our CEO. We're a woman-owned company.
Nice.
And she gets mad that I will submit an order before I've actually collected the deposit. But the way I do business, I feel like I'm trustworthy, and I feel like everyone else is trustworthy too. And I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt until you prove me wrong. And so I do require the deposit. I'm just going to get the order started. So that was a lot of exposure for me to have, $100,000 order out there. So I was really nervous about that. As far as scaling it goes, my supplier does capable of 1 million pieces a month. Like,
okay,
I'm not nervous about that.
And you had that in place from the jump.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes a big difference.
So I had a supplier I could trust. I had dreamed about doing something like this business for a few years, but I'm not willing to put my name on something that I don't think is worth putting my name on. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to steal people's money. If I'm going to ask people to pay for something, I want them to get their money's worth out of it because, just as a consumer, that's how I do it. So, obviously quality is my top priority. Customer service, I want the client to be involved in every step of the process, and I want them to feel good about it, because I don't want them to receive any product that they go, this doesn't look right. Well, you approve that. So
Yeah.
Obviously if something isn't right, then I'm going to make it right, because I don't do this to make money. I mean, I really don't. I do it because I love it. And so I've really enjoyed the process. And so, I think just those things, and I offer it at a fair price.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people are paying $60 for the Nike polo embroidered. I can do 50 polos, fully custom for $50 each. And that's all inclusive. That's shipping, design, the product, all of your embellishments. One thing I do is, a lot of times if you're doing a dark color, if you just print it and you stretch it, you can see that white show through. And so what I'll do is I will dye that material first at my own expense. I don't ask my clients to do that. And then I'll print on top of that. And that way, when they stretch it, it doesn't have that cheap look, like around the corners and stuff when it gets sewn. So it's just a little
attention to detail,
to details and quality. And that's why I don't have to sell it.
How do you go about finding, so from the get-go, you have a supplier that has capacity. Yeah. How did you go about finding, because this is a side hustle. I mean, I want to hear a little more of the story. Like you're an IT database guy, you're doing this on the side, and all of a sudden it blows up. I'm sure it wasn't an overnight thing.
No.
So peel back the layers a little bit.
So I've always been the cheap overseas crap guy. Like, I've always wanted to game the system, and find who the middleman is and cut them out. Mm-hmm. And so I think the first thing I ever ordered overseas was trading pins. Those baseball trading pins, you go to a World Series and they want to charge you like $3 a pin to have those made. And I found someone that could make them for 75 cents. And it's the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. And so my son was playing baseball. We ordered those. And you remember when Texas Tech first did the throwback baseball jersey? It was a cream color and it had the script tack on it.
What year was that?
Oh, like 5-6 years ago.
Okay. Yeah.
Under Armour didn't make those available for purchase immediately, but I wanted one. So I get on Alibaba. I start looking for suppliers, and I found a guy out of Pakistan that would make them. Tackle Twill, and I had high hopes for those. $18 each delivered. I mean, they were cheap.
Wow.
And then they came in and they were cheap. They were terrible. And so you don't win them all.
Yeah.
I've had flags made. I've done, I don't remember all this crap I've had made overseas, because it's just gaming the system. And again, I had polos made. I had a rowback knockoff made, but I had it made out of Pakistan, and it was terrible. I'm like, I just threw it away. I'm like, this isn't what I wanted or how I did it. So when I found that through my supplier, again, it's Alibaba. You just kind of have to
know who to go to.
You ask the right questions, and you just kind of have a knack for it. And I found them. And
well, something that's just kind of jumping out to me as we're talking, and for our podcast listeners, we always try to pull out some principles from our guests that we think could apply to anybody. And you were willing to try things that most people wouldn't.
Yeah,
I feel like that goes for anybody who's got a niche that they just have kind of learned and iterated over time, and before you know it, you're an expert. You have this knowledge. You may not feel like an expert, but you are, because you were willing to try the random Pakistani supplier. You're willing to order the 75-cent pin and see if it's the same as a $3. And I think for people who are just kind of trying to figure out what a business model they could build that would set them apart, I think it's a good principle to try things. And
100%.
Yeah, maybe take risks that other people wouldn't, especially if it's a risk like, it's not going to break the bank, like what you were doing. These were calculated, of course, but I think there's a lot of wisdom in that.
I think of like entrepreneurs and business owners are like naturally curious people, and they're not, and some of them, but not all of them are like the type when they're bored, they're just scrolling Instagram or Twitter or X, whatever. It's usually they're like have some kind of harebrained scheme that they're like trying to.
They care about that thing that nobody else thinks about that much.
Yeah. And there's that cliche saying of like, you want to be around people that talk about ideas, like kind of the lowest form of thought is gossip, talking about people, and kind of the highest level is talking about ideas and concepts and business ideas that it just seems like you found a passion there that you kind of stumbled onto.
Yeah, I like to create things. So we were talking about rabbit holes before. Like I went through a cupcake phase. Like I brought home cupcakes one day, and my wife is not a foodie. If you've ever seen my wife, she's 5'2", 100 pounds, whatever. And her face lit up when she ate this cupcake. And I said, I can make that. And so I set out to recreate that cupcake. And I did. And then I started developing more flavors. Everyone's like, you should own a bakery. I hate making cupcakes, man. I like the discovery process of it. I like the creativity process of it, but I hated baking. So yeah, I like along that, you talk about ideas. I have this one idea where I want to make these giant Christmas balls that are like 4 feet wide, but they're translucent. So they look like Christmas ornaments in the daytime. Then they light up from the inside at night.
Okay.
And how do you do that? And I've been wrestling with that for 5 years. And my wife's pissed because I've got epoxy resin on the ceiling of my garage and still it won't come off.
What got you on that? Like, what was the inspiration behind those?
1 year I didn't put Christmas lights out, and a neighbor drove by and he's like, I think my wife put one little decoration on our porch. And so my neighbor drove by and said, you went all out for Christmas. And it pissed me off. And so the next year I'm like, I've got buckets of Christmas lights. I'm just going to dump them in the yard. I'm going to have more lights than anyone. There's going to be in a pile.
Yeah.
And, but then I thought, well, how can I use those? How can I make an ornament that's unique? It goes along that I don't want what everyone else has. I want something completely unique. And so I've been trying to figure out how to make it, because they make giant Christmas balls, but they're not see-through.
Yeah.
And I don't want to just buy one. That's no fun. So I'm on this constant quest to figure out how to do it.
Well, there's a lot of creative types, which you are obviously one. I feel like the passion is just like you said, the discovery and like the figuring it out. Yeah, I don't like to bake, but I just wanted to get that cupcake right, But now when you're business, right, and there's like a bottom line to think about and logistics and well, at least in theory. But as far as the way that J. Rich has operated and the way that you've been able to grow this thing and make really cool designs, I'm curious, what other things have you learned along the way that maybe surprised you? Or has there been can you think of any experiences that you had where kind of went against the common wisdom and it worked out for you?
I've had to learn all aspects of the business. Like when you've worked in corporate America your whole life, you don't learn all of the things about invoicing and paying and all that stuff. And so one thing that we do talk about the bottom line. My wife's more equipped for that. She's a CPA. I'm the creative guy, but, I have looked for ways to save money. Like every time I sent money to my supplier, I would have transaction fees. If I paid with my credit card, it was 3%. If I wired money to them, it was $25. So I came up with this elaborate formula to find out where my break-even point was. And so then I had to use what is that, algebra? Is that what you learned in high school?
I think so.
Put that to good use. And I found that break-even point, just as I figured out that if I just wired money, and I worked it out with my supplier to do it, if I wired money one time a month, I pay $25 fee, but I can wire like $25,000.
Oh, okay.
So I save thousands of dollars in just transaction fees. So, you know, figuring those things out, figuring out, the logistics of shipping and, packaging. And there's so many things that a small business owner has to do that, especially in this line, that I just never thought of. I thought if I could just make designs that it would be fun, but now I wear every hat and it kind of sucks.
Okay. Give me, what does J Rich look like today? You said the first month you guys sold 3,500 polos. When was that? And then what does it look like today?
So I started it in March of 23.
Okay.
And remember, my wife's a CPA.
Uh-huh.
So I was asking her for all this help right in the middle of tax season.
Yeah.
And
April 15th.
She goes, why did you start this during tax season? I go, because I didn't think it would work. I thought this was just something that I did when I was sitting at home, with you while you worked late, I thought, like I said, I joked with my kids, when I sell $1 million worth of stuff, I'll take y'all all on a vacation. Because I was never going to sell $1 million worth of stuff, right? And so I think I'm hovering right around the $1 million in gross sales now, 3 years later.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good milestone. Congratulations.
I've had 2 orders over $100,000 each.
Wow.
I got another one recently that was really close. Like one day I had $36,000 of goods in my dining room, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, this is the equivalent of a new car.
Mm-hmm.
And people are buying this it just blows my mind that it's scaled like that. But yeah,
that's a lot of fun.
So how many, do you have any employees, or is it just you and your wife? What does that look like?
Basically me and my wife. I will hire my kids to come in when I get a big order. When I think it was Pop-Tarts came in, and it came in 30 boxes. And so we had to sort through all those 30 boxes, repackage them, count them, verify everything. And so that's just pay my kids $20 an hour, let them deal with that. So,
yeah. He's like the real, have you heard that? I don't know if it's like a viral thread where it's like AI will create the first single person company that's worth $1 billion. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
This is like the scaled back version of that I'm like, okay, it's you and your wife and your kids when you need them. You're working out of your house.
Yeah, out of my dining room.
Okay, what is this? I know that this we usually get to this at the end, but I just want to unpack this. Like, what do you want this to be? What is your vision for this company? What does it look like 3-5 years from now? I feel part of this, you feel like a kid that has a tiger by the tail and you didn't know it.
I never had big dreams. Like we did joke when I first started it that not only do I reach $1 million in sales, but would I ever sell it? You touched on that earlier. And I'm like, I don't think I would, because I'm not doing this to make money. I do it because I love it. Like I love making the designs. Even today, when I finish a design, I will send it in our family group chat. Like, hey, this is cool. Check this out, and everyone will either, thumbs up it or thumbs down it. And so I bounce all my ideas off my kids. I love creating a new product. I had a customer come up at the Orange Bowl and tell me I needed to make shackets. Cricut makes a shacket. You know what those are? It looks like a shirt. It's nylon. It's quilted.
Yeah.
And it can be worn as a shirt or a jacket.
Yeah. My wife. Yeah.
And they're like $200. Like everyone that sells them charges at least $200. So anytime I see something like that, I joke, my supplier can make that for cheap. But then I thought I really could. And so I started asking people about shackets, and everyone wants a shacket. I'll show you a picture of it later.
Okay.
And so I've got shackets in production right now.
All right. I need to get one of these shackets.
But as far as
shacket one more time,
where I see it going, I mean, there's no reason why this thing, because I feel like I haven't even scratched the surface of what's possible. I recently made a connection through the Pop-Tarts Bowl that could really take me into the stratosphere, like 5-10 times my annual sales. And if that happens, obviously I'm quitting my day job. I just can't manage it, right? Yeah. But Yeah, it's just, I tell people I'm far more concerned with your brand than mine. Yeah, J Rich Apparel gets attached to everything, but I don't put J Rich on the outside of anything other than my retail stuff. Like, I don't care. I want this to be about you and your brand. And I don't need to be famous. I don't need to be popular. I just want to keep making great products, and my name gets out there. My name gets out there.
Yeah.
Okay, I need a story. Tell me, you've like alluded to some of these. Give me some like in the trenches practical story. You're going to the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Like, how did you meet the Pop-Tarts people? Tell me that story.
Well, that's a high and a low.
Okay,
You want to start with the low?
Yeah, let's hear it.
It's a high that turned into a low that turned into a higher high. So I did have a company out of Florida that I was working with, similar to the one here. I did not enjoy working with them. They were a company that revealed themselves to not be the type of person that would handle themselves professionally. I'm not going to say their name. And but they connected me to the Pop-Tarts Bowl. I did these designs. I did the sprinkles design of a pullover, and they only bought them for their employees initially. And every time they would post a picture of it on Twitter, everyone was like, where do I get the pullover? They weren't talking about the content of the video. They were talking about that pullover, and they go, I want that pullover. And there was so much just online buzz about the pullover.
How cool.
This was December 24. In January, they made them available. And I mean, they sold like hotcakes. So again, that middleman is managing that. They did pay me the deposit. So I delivered those. Yeah, that was the last money I ever received from that company.
Oh no.
They never paid me my balance. They stiffed me for a lot of money.
Wow.
Right. And so but that opened the door to work directly with the Pop-Tarts Bowl, because I was no longer doing business with that middleman company. And Matt Repchak at the Pop-Tarts Bowl has been phenomenal. He's the best in the business. If you follow anything, any of the bowl games, the Pop-Tarts Bowl is head and shoulders above everyone else as far as marketing goes.
Cool.
And Matt's the guy behind that. So he ordered a whole bunch more for this year. It went viral again, and now they're selling a whole lot more, in January. And so that's kind of my claim to fame at this point is, the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
Well, it's amazing. You hung in there, you had a relationship that didn't work out the way you would have drawn it up. And then it leads to a even better opportunity. So
yeah, 100%.
It's amazing how that works in business so often. You never know what doors are going to open up from just doing things the right way and trying to do a good job. And I think there's a good lesson in that for a lot of people who are listening out there. Just, keep getting your reps in, and
right.
You never know where it's going to lead. So we've had a high and we've had a low. As far as the future goes, it sounds like you've got an opportunity to really grow. Are you excited? Are you nervous? What are your feelings about the opportunity that you might have to, as you said, quit your day job and scale this thing up, hire up some help and all the things?
So someday if I keep growing, I'm not going to be able to keep doing this out of my house. All right. I'm going to have to get retail or warehouse space at minimum and hire someone to just handle my distribution, take those small tasks off.
Yeah.
I'll tell you though, I've had 3 years of constant growth, and I'm still scared that it could all dry up tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's that constant fear, like when you're flying without a net, it's like, and I talked to my son. My son has a roofing business, and he has those same fears. And, I don't know if that's a natural human emotion or if it's from my background of, just being scared of stuff. But yeah, that's why I haven't quit my job, because I feel like if I quit my day job and gave 100% of my attention to this, that I could blow it out of the water. I mean, again, I don't think I've even scratched the surface, and I feel like I've got a lot of good reputation. Almost everything I do is just word of mouth. I don't do sales. I don't do marketing. It's, someone hears about me from someone else.
Yeah.
And they want to see what I can do. And then I give them the same J Rich experience, great customer service, high quality product. And I get a lot of repeat business doing that.
There are a lot of businesses that don't market a ton, or they don't do traditional advertising or marketing like you would think. And a lot of it is word of mouth. It's that big client is one introduction away. It's that lead being warmed up by a friend that you've had who knows you and trusts you and can vouch for your character. Who were some of those key people when you were starting out? Because I mean, the brands that you're mentioning are crazy. They're household brands that we've known for 30, 40 years. And I'm like, and you've been doing this 2-3 years, and you have all of these bigger name clients that, what's a piece of advice you would give people on using, your current network and relationships to build the dream business?
No one does it alone. No one. Like obviously I don't tell people. They say it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I do feel like I know a lot, but man, I wouldn't be able to do any of this without, I got my first big break. I mentioned his name is Bobby. He's one of my best friends. And so he works for a company in the Dallas area. They do nationwide stuff, but they have a lot of these clients. And so he's the first one that believed in me. And when he set me up with those, I'm not even sure I believed in myself when I first started. Like, I knew that this first order had come in and it was great stuff. And I knew that my designs were good, but I still had those lingering doubts of, do people want to buy this? Because I take that very seriously. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And Bobby placed those orders with me and then, referred me to his clients and, or his teammates, his company. And then it just spread. And then once you get those names on paper, I can go to people and I say, I've done stuff for Southwest Airlines, Toyota, Paycom, Southwest Airlines, Cotton Bowl. I met a guy at the Cotton Bowl through our church and he ordered some stuff. Well, then the Big 12 saw him. And so now I'm working with the Big 12.
Wow.
Then I've done Pop-Tarts Bowl. I've done stuff for the Fiesta Bowl. I've done probably 5 or 6 other bowl games. Then I got licensed to do Texas Tech stuff. And then someone posted on Red Raider Sports about my business. And then all of a sudden that opens the floodgates. Like, people want to do business and it's all just word of mouth.
Very organic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting to me that people who are like you in this space of just growing and using relationships to grow your business, it's always a fun journey to see, like, okay, now what's the next step I need to take? And, with our business coaching, we have mastermind groups and we see the same dynamic of, you get all these people in a room that seem like they have no overlap with what their businesses do. And yet it creates this magic networking environment where by the end of our mastermind, we have 6-month long groups that we run. And by the end of that 6 months, like, almost everybody in that room is doing business together.
Yeah.
And you just never know how doors are going to open up.
Yeah. And all of this, like, those people are the people who talk in ideas.
Yeah.
Like, no one's talking about people. Like, they're talking about, hey, I want to do this. I have this idea. I'd really like to do X, Y, and Z. And you iterate and you develop and you experiment and you develop, a really gooder service. And then a lot of times, like, your first sale is your mom or your
Right.
your neighbor or whoever you go to church with, and you do a good job. And then the word of mouth flywheel starts to turn. And it's funny. And we've seen that in coaching and in our other businesses is, when you get that client that's like kind of that next tier up compared to what you're normally used to, and you knock it out of the park, that, you couldn't imagine doing work for Pop-Tarts or the Cotton Bowl or whatever. But you go and you build the one thing and you do the good or service for that higher tier client. And then your brain can just think bigger.
Yeah.
You know, you can put yourself in that, and then that just allows more doors to open, and I don't know, that's just, it's fascinating.
Well, and they're your best marketing. They're your raving fan. It's like you had the imposter syndrome, or maybe not imposter syndrome, but the fear that like, will this really work? And, you know, I relate to that so much. Like our first client that we had with coaching, I was like, how is this going to go? And they ended up being, you know, one of those clients that just wants to tell everybody. And you start to feel like, okay, this is a real thing we're doing here. This is exciting. So with that, what do you see? I guess Albert already kind of asked something similar, but I'm just curious, what do you get most excited about for the future?
Man, I just leaving something to my kids. I mean, honestly, it's just my kids' legacy of when they see dad and what dad has built. You know, I don't do anything for myself. Otherwise, I mean, I don't know that I touched on this. I actually don't spend any of the money that I make in J Rich. I put it either back in the business or I invest it somewhere. I mean, I'm living off my salary and my wife's salary. And
that's cool.
Just because, again, I don't do it for the money. I do it for the passion. And to be able to see something that's built, you know, that you built from the ground up. And you mentioned imposter syndrome. 100% I have that. Like, you know, when you talk to these big clients, you think, well, there's other people that are already doing it. Surely I'm not doing it better than them. But then I find that I am doing it better than them, and they think I'm doing it better than them. And so, I mean, I would love to be able to get to where I'm selling $1 million, $5 million, $10 million a year, but I don't want to do that at the expense of the experience. Yeah. Like if customers, clients, whatever you want to call them, aren't getting the same level of customer service, you know, then let's scale it back. You know, I don't want to lose sight of the fact that, you know, I want people to appreciate what service I'm giving them. You know, I don't want to just make a buck.
Yeah.
And so many companies get into that, and that's just not who I want to be. So if I can maintain that and sell $10 million a year, let's go.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm perfectly fine keeping it right where it is, you know, and just having that reputation, because your name is everything to me.
Well said.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. And so much of your business is kind of this like experiential, you know, it's integrated with your life. Like you're going to the Orange Bowl, you're going to the Cotton Bowl. It's your friends from church. It's just, you know, people you do life with that you just so happen to also be doing business. And that's a dream for a lot of entrepreneurs.
And, you know, y'all mentioned these groups, and I'll tell you one thing. I was a corporate guy. I didn't care about shopping local or shopping the little man until I started my own business. Right. And now that's all, like, I hate going to chains now. Yeah. It's like, I have a friend that owns a couple of restaurants in the Dallas area. You know, he was one of the founders of Tender Smokehouse. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but now he's got I go eat at his places as much as I can just to help him out, because he's a little guy. I mean, he's not. Yeah. I mean, he's doing well for himself, but, you know, I love when we travel, we never, ever eat at a chain restaurant. Yeah. And I never drink a beer that's, you know, I want a local brew, because I just want to, I don't know. It's us versus them now.
I like it.
I love it.
I feel the same way. It's there's just something fun about sticking to people who are local and doing it that way. So, man, Jason, I really appreciate you spending some time with us today. I feel like this has just been a fun one and a little bit different from what we usually get. So
I agree. Okay. To send us off, where do we send people to do business with J Rich Apparel? Where do they go?
jrichapparel.com. And so from there, I do a little bit of retail. You can go the Signature Series. That's my non-Texas Tech stuff, but everything in there is Texas themed. Because when I was starting this, everyone wants to start their own shirt company. As soon as I started researching it, my Facebook feed is full of 10 new companies every day of
Yeah.
people that want to sell this. So that's not who I wanted to be. So, but people kept coming to me and saying, I want to buy your shirt. I don't want to buy 50 of them. So I made some available. I decided my niche was to just do Texas theme. That's where the Come and Take It came from.
Yeah.
Then as a Red Raider alum, you know, I wanted to do really cool stuff for tech that no one else was doing. Got licensed for that. That was like, that was a tough process, but you know, now I sell that. So if you want the tech gear, you go to the 1923 collection.
Okay.
So,
and I love that stuff. I've got a lot of it, and anybody listening out there, you will not be disappointed. It's great stuff.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank y'all very much.
All right. If you are a business owner and you feel stuck in your business has plateaued and you don't know how to get to the next level, go to our website, stagcoaching.com, and in the upper right-hand corner, click to book your free consultation. And in your free consultation, we'll give you the next few steps you need to take your business to the next level. It's free. It's on our website, stagcoaching.com. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next one.